Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the At the Mini Show. I'm your co-host, Tom Yumper Garcia, and I'm with my other co-host, Tony the Sugar Baggy Burt. How you doing, my man?
Good. Glad to be here tonight. How are you? Well, you told us how you were, but even on top of that, how are you? Even on top of what you told us.
I'm okay. I'm excited to talk some different stuff. I mean, we're all going to talk about some stuff in the entertainment industry. Usually, our show at the show, the main show, is basically about deep dives into movies. Me and you decided, hey, let's do something on the side, maybe a 30-minute pod on just some of the movie news or stuff with television or stuff going on in the entertainment industry. That's what we're going to be doing today in our first episode, my man.
I'm excited to get to some of this stuff. This is kind of stuff we text back and forth with each other,
Yeah, for sure, my man, for sure. So like I said, we're going to be talking about some news. We got some stories to run through today, but Tone, we cannot start today without the acknowledgement of losing of two of the probably biggest legends, one in the legend of baseball, the other in film. First, we'll start off with the passing of Bob Uecker, who passed away at 90 years old today. Bob Uecker, most of us know from the movie Major Leagues, three movies, if you want to count the third one, a movie. Sorry, Steve Ness. But he was known for being comedic. He's also Mr. Belvedere, as the father of the home for Mr. Belvedere. Big time in the Miller Lite commercials, a comedic genius, horrible player, as he would tell you, but he's a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame in the broadcasting wing. Passed away today at the age of 90, my friend. What do you think about that?
Very sad. At the dinner table tonight, I said that it was crazy that I watched Major League and then how blown away I was that he was actually a baseball announcer for so long. Because, I saw Major League when I was like 10 or 11. And then, when I'm 13, finding out he's actually the Brewers, main announcer. Just the man. Tonight they were showing clips of those Miller Lite commercials. Hilarious. Top. We're talking some of the funniest commercials I've ever seen. So, really cool guy, nice guy, down to earth. It's sad we lost him.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, us being in the Midwest and based in Chicago, we had on both sides of town probably another great broadcaster in the name of Harry Carey on both the Cubs and Sox. Then you had Jimmy Pearsall, who's crazy in his own mind, Hawk Harrelson, and then right above us is Wisconsin. We had Bob Uecker there for so long. So we were blessed with being able to be around these broadcasters that were with the game for so long and entertaining everyone.
Yeah, anytime you can get out of the fold and get out of the booth and get into something like movies, how cool is that? How cool is it that your main gig is baseball, which me and you both love, and then the other thing we love is movies, and he got to do both.
Yeah, not counting wrestling. He was choked by Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. Most famous when he was interviewing him. But back to his movies, he basically improvised everything in Major Leagues.
Mm-hmm.
All of it was improvisation. A genius, like I said, his comedic timing was on point, and I heard he was even more hilarious off the mic than he was on the mic. If you want to see those stories, you can check out the Artie Lang and Norm Macdonald stories that are on the internet. But yeah, total, crush. I was crushed when I saw it today. I was like, oh man, I know I texted you about it, and the other fellow Penguin, Brian, aka Magnificent Stan. Just sucks, man.
Sucks a lot. It's always sucks when you lose someone awesome like Bob.
Yeah, just horrible, to lose. But he was 90, so he lived a long life. He brought a lot of joy to everybody. So, we salute you, Bob Uecker. And
watch a baseball game for Bob. Do Major League. If you haven't, I'm sure you have, but
say it again.
I said not you, said the people out there. I'm sure watch Major League for Bob or watch a baseball game for Bob this year.
Yeah, definitely watch it for him. It's a go-to, but no, RIP. And then we were hit with some more bad news today in the world of films. If you're a huge fan of Twin Peaks, which I know me and you both are, he also did Dune, Eraserhead, Mulholland Drive, Blue Velvet. We talk about Blue Velvet a lot, me and you, between ourselves. The Elephant Man. David Lynch passed away today. Incredible talent at the age of 78, my friend.
You would have probably been laughing because I was trying to do Dennis Hopper and Blue Velvet at the dinner table with, like, the breathing thing, and Katie just kinda was staring at me. You would have, understood what I was doing. Sh I think we've watched it a couple years ago. She might not remember Dennis Hopper's part as in much as we have, but you talk about a guy with just an original sense of film. You
Mhm.
know, recently, within the last couple of years, I watched The Elephant Man, a really good black and white film by him. I mean, and just as you mentioned, Dune, just so many different pieces of work.
Yeah, just he was one of those talents, like, everything that he did basically spawned off into something else. I mean, I was reading today Twin Peaks, which is, like, an out there film and series, that kinda spawned there's no Twin Peaks, there's no Sopranos the way David Chase pulled in his dream scenes. There's no Carnival as the, I forget his character in Twin Peaks, but the leader of the Carnival, Samson, is actually from Twin Peaks, and he got his start there. I think he's the Red Man in Twin Peaks.
Mhm.
Uh,
I think you're right.
but but just a total, like, even though he made very limited films, he just put his mark on, the film industry.
You know how much I love music, you love music. Earlier today, I was looking at an article of some musical inspiration to some of David Lynch's work. He has worked with some great musicians. Got to work with David Bowie on the Highway soundtrack. If I was just talking with Katie earlier again today about one of the shows that I enjoyed the most watching with her was that Twin Peaks: The Return. I thought I was just really blown away by that as a whole, because I think it came to me at a time in my life where I needed something like that, and David Lynch is just somebody who you definitely need to experience his work, to say the least.
Yeah, you definitely do. Like I said, very limited in feature films. He has a ton of short films. He did music videos, like you said, Chris Isaac for Wicked Game. He
Mm,
did Moby,
mhm.
Shot in the Back of the Head, Interpol. He did, Crazy Clown Time for David Lynch, and Nine Inch Nails, Come Back Haunted, and a couple Donovan's, songs. He just, like, he's one of those.
You ever see the Chris Isaac video?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I've fallen asleep lots of times pretending I was Chris Isaac in that video, but, that's another time we could talk about, but great directed video, good directed work.
Yeah, just good work. And unfortunately, within the last year of his life, he actually was homebound because he had emphysema,
Mm,
and he couldn't really leave the house because he smoked since he was 8 years old, which was crazy, and he eventually succumbed to those, that horrible disease. But RIP to him. I know he has inspired a lot of people, and hopefully his films continue to inspire people because it's you gotta think out, outside the box, and he certainly did for everything.
definitely, RIP David Lynch.
Yeah, so sorry we're starting off on a somber note and depressing note, but we didn't mean to do so. But we had to shout out those two legends in their own rights for, them passing away. So RIP to both of them. But going into more of a news cycle here, Tom, it's been announced that since Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the Marvel Universe as Doctor Doom, Chris Evans is coming back as well, and this has made people go batshit crazy, my man. What do you think about all this in your own personal opinion?
Well, I was digging through some old toys and I found my old Victor Von Doom here in my hand here, which is, who Robert Downey Jr. is playing, but, I've personally always thought about this, at least with television shows and with movies, the same. I don't ever think anybody should ever say they're done with anything. I think they should just not do it, not say that they're not going to do it or do it. And they either do it or they don't do it. So it always leaves the door open for something. Because I remember in musical sense in 1993, Ozzy went on something called the No More Tours. He was going to tour no more and he was retiring. Well, that was 1993. We're 31 years later, and he just released a new song today. So a lot of people say they're going to stop, but the reality is I don't even think it's about money. I think it's about the passion, and maybe you're not getting the passion somewhere else. So I'm not against it per se. I need to see the script and I need to see the story, and then I'll make my judgments. That's usually how I work on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you stick with what works. Uh,
Yeah.
Marvel has kinda been in kind of a, rut, and I think it's most of it's due to superhero fatigue that everybody had with all these superhero movies come out, and DC kinda ruined it with their god knows how many cuts and just movies that aren't doing well. Even though I enjoyed, Blue Beetle, uh,
Mhm.
just the other films have not been very, very good, and Morbius being one of them. It just hasn't been very, very good on their end. Uh, is Morbius a Marvel film?
Yeah, it is a Marvel
That's
film
even bad. It's
along
even
with Kraven the Hunter.
Oh god, Craven, yeah. But DC has not done very, very well, and I only think Aquaman did that well at the,
No, that's
theaters.
why they're hoping, which if I'm going by just what they've released thus far, um, they're hoping that maybe this is a turn of the page for them, and now they're gonna start having quality work. I'll be honest with you, if Superman isn't good, they could just kiss that goodbye because this is gonna be their 10 like, this is the introduction to this new world, so I remember when this little movie came out called Battlefield Earth, and it was going to introduce us to 7 pictures just like that. And we never got anything more. I hope that's not what this is, because I'll be frankly honest with you. I was at Ball State. It was probably one of the first times I ever went to the movies by myself. I was so excited to see what was it, the 2003 Superman. With Spacey, and boy, God, I've never walked out of a movie theater more upset and angry. And I put myself like I thought I was going to be like, this is going to be the greatest experience ever. I hope it's not something like that, but we'll have to wait and see.
I've never been a fan of Superman. I love Christopher Reeve. I just never been a fan. Like, I never that was never my superhero. I was always a Batman guy.
Oh yeah,
But after watching, Flash with the only real reason I went into that film was because of Flash. Like, Eisner Miller, I think, should be kicked out of the franchise, and, we could go into that another day. But just for that reason alone, I went because Keaton was in it, and getting Nicolas Cage as Superman in that film, spoiler alert, I'm sorry if you didn't see it, was really, really cool because he was supposed to play Superman one time, and that movie was scrapped. If they don't hit it out of the ballpark on this one, it's over for them, and I think Marvel is just going back to playing the hits. They already introduced the alternate timeline. They're bringing back Chris Evans. They're also bringing back the actress who played, Agent Carter is coming back as well, so maybe they expand upon him, when he went back in time with the, Haley Atwell as Agent Carter, how she and him fell in love. Maybe they come back into that timeline to bring him back to whatever's going on. Also, people can understand too that Captain America was actually killed in the comics by the Red Skull, Steve Rogers, that is. So maybe he can come back and guide Sam Wilson. I don't know. I'm interested to see. I hope it's nothing stupid. I really do. But I mean, just have to wait and see. I mean, Kevin Feige has proven that he can time out and schedule things the way he wants, in terms of working, and, he did that with the whole Avengers films in general, even though some
yeah.
people consider them not cinema.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever I because I've watched that Creature Commandos now. For some reason, I'm watching the Harley Quinn cartoon for DC, and there's some again. Alan Tudyk's doing Joker on there, and Alan Tudyk is an amazing voice actor. And honestly, you got Wayne Knight playing the Penguin. I mean, come on, man, that's ridiculous. I mean, there could be something good there, hopefully, in these DC movies. Back to the Marvel playing the hits. You know, and I know Downey Jr. is a great actor. Downey Jr. doesn't going to take something that I don't think isn't going to challenge him. And to be frankly honest, one of my favorite movie roles of all time, and it's such a small role in The Iceman with Michael Shannon. Chris Evans nails his role as like the long-haired, like he's like a killer too. But like again, he's a great actor, and these guys aren't going to just take these roles. I don't think for the cash. They need to have some kind of substance. So I'm betting on that. And let's hope that that's the truth.
Yeah, so let's hope it works out well. So it's crazy that he's coming back, but I know the internet was up and roar about him coming back, and different opinions. But like I said, you can trust Marvel's timeline and the way they scheduled everything out. I
Mhm.
just have to trust their past work and hope this works out, which, I think it will. And as far as DC, you got James Gunn under the helm now. He did great work with Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy. Hopefully, he continues that on the other end. I mean, Peacemaker is a great series actually, and it's coming out with another season. So hopefully, he continues that momentum in Superman.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on to another controversy that came out, for somebody who loved the original 28 days later that came out with Cillian Murphy. I was a huge fan of that zombie film. I always thought it was probably one of the greatest zombie films ever made, in my opinion. There was I think a sequel 28 months later or something like that.
Weeks later?
Weeks? Yeah,
Yeah,
28 weeks later.
yeah.
Um, and now there is a official sequel to this one called 28 days, no, 28 years later. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Years later, it's coming out this year in 2025. And from the trailer, everybody was saying, "Oh my God, Cillian Murphy's he's a zombie. He's a zombie," because they saw a small little picture of somebody who looked like Cillian Murphy as a zombie, and now it's come out that Cillian Murphy isn't even in the movie, which
Wow,
I thought was hilarious.
well, the
It's
trailer, I'll go with the trailer. The
Mhm.
trailer looks pretty solid.
Yeah, it totally does. I kinda hope he was in it, but I guess this is gonna follow a new character going forward. He has said he would come back for it, which is pretty strange that he isn't in this one, but like I told you even before, like, when I'm a nerd, I go and check IMDb, I check out, like, the legit websites and stuff like this that show who's in the casting, and if he's in there, it doesn't show him even making a cameo appearance, so hopefully they prove me wrong and have him in there, but it's coming out saying he's not even in the film, and Danny Boyle hasn't said it officially, but, Andrew McDonald came out and said that the actor would not appear in a new film. He was a producer, and he's wanting to be involved. However, he will act as an executive producer for this film. So, unfortunately, he's not gonna be in a new 28 years later.
Well, we'll go with just the director of this movie. I've seen all of his movies. I've seen Ex Machina. I love that movie a lot. I loved Civil War, which I just saw. I liked Annihilation. I like this movie, Men. It was called. Came out recently. I know Keelan liked that movie a lot too. Um, I'm hoping it's good. You know, again, 28 years later of anything, and it
Same here.
sucks. Boy, geez, man. Can you imagine 28 years of something like any movie? And I don't know. I mean, was there a real calling for this movie? I don't know. And especially one without Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, Cillian. What do they call him? Killian? Cillian?
Killian, meow. I call
Yeah,
him, yeah.
it's Cillian Murphy. I'm sorry. It's also
Yeah.
Ex Machina, not Machina.
Yeah.
This is if you come for pronunciations, you come to these podcasts, folks. But no, Cillian Murphy. No, he did say he wanted to come back, but I think just too much time passed. Hopefully, they do something with him coming back as he is. If he's an executive producer of this film, hopefully he
Mhm.
comes back and does something, with his character of Jim. But it was that the first film was just so perfect. I don't know how you can expand upon it. And if you ever listen to the commentary of the film, Danny Boyle goes into stuff that they were gonna use in the film that they decided to scrap because it just didn't make any sense,
Oh,
which I always thought was kinda crazy that he decided to scrap them. I think one of the subplots was Jim, uh, basically having a blood transfusion with the father, to basically keep him alive. Brendan Gleeson plays Frank, the father, and we all know he gets turns into a zombie, and they ended up killing him. But in a subplot, he actually had them knocking him out, putting him to a table, going to where the soldiers are, finding out all the soldiers are dead, and then having them do a blood transfusion to where Jim now takes the zombie blood, I guess, and Frank is basically normal. And Danny Boyle said the more and more we thought about this, I was like, how the fuck is this gonna make sense? So, and he scrapped it, which I thought was awesome. Like the director realizes like he doesn't make sense. So I have really, really high hopes for 28 years later. I'm gonna go see it. I'm pretty sure you'll be there with me for this one, uh,
Yes,
and we'll give a report on it. But it's unfortunate, that he's not in it. But you never know. He could come back and be in the film later on, like another sequel if this one does well at the movie
for
theaters.
sure.
Moving on, my friend, we have the Hollywood story from the Wrap that when we think of films, we think of, places that they shoot films. We always think of Hollywood, Los Angeles. Well, it's come out in the Wrap for a January 15th article that Los Angeles production sinks to 5.6%, the lowest
Ooh,
record outside of the pandemic, saying nobody really wants to film there. When I saw this article, the first thing that popped into my head, Tone, was that Simpsons episode where they have Hollywood come and film, and they're like, "Oh wow, look at that ad!" And it's basically a film Springfield, and they go there, and then like they tax them for everything they're worth. They have no money to go back. Yeah, they're saying that the reality TV shoots have plummeted 45% there and 43% below the 5-year average. Um, why do you think this is happening? Do you think it's because of taxes? Do you think it's because of expenses?
more than likely. It could also be, back in the day, there were only, from what I remember in the 90s, certain set locales that you could film. Chicago was one of them, Toronto maybe was another one, New York. But now I'm pretty sure that it's a pretty much you could film anywhere now if you get the right um, permits and such. So a lot of people, the use of needing the studio lots are gone, I would imagine, which to me that makes me sad. Nothing makes me sadder than something that I think used to work a long time ago not being able to be used anymore. Not to say that you can't use these other locales, but I would say that the number should be more at like 50% as opposed to 5%, but that's just me thinking that.
Yeah, and like I said, when I asked about the tax, it is a taxes. Like places like Sacramento are actually opening up bigger tax breaks. It's kind of crazy that the city of Los Angeles and is not doing that for them, which is ridiculous considering that. I guess maybe they thought they had to go off their name alone of being Los Angeles, Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Well,
But
that's it too.
I think
When me and Katie lived in Los Angeles for a little while, standing outside of a movie studio, which I did, and just looking through the gates and imagining what went on in there was like a dream in my mind. Now you're pretty much telling me I'm looking at like an empty fence and empty buildings that people don't use anymore, which in a way, I don't want to say it, but it's kind of like, unfortunately, seems like a lot of things are changing. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure now with what has just happened in Hollywood, because to be honest, they were very, very close to losing the sign this last week with those fires. Luckily they were able to get the fires away from the sign, but that kind of damage is going to probably even drive those numbers maybe down even lower.
Yeah, and to pivot to the fires going on in California right now, a lot of people have lost their homes. I know James Woods says he lost his home. I know ton of people in the California area that have lost homes, either like from YouTubers to actors, musicians. It's just horrible that this is happening, in California. And if you want to help out, you can donate at the American Red Cross to help those families who have lost their homes. It sucks, man, that they were going through this whole financial turmoil in terms of Hollywood, and then you said the fires, like the fires came and they're just making it worse.
Well, yeah, it makes it very, very, very bad because, like I would said, even to Katie, like, okay, take for instance, Jeff Bridges lost his house. You know, I don't know if these people have filming schedules, but I got to imagine that some of filming schedules have been put off and put on hold and paused because of this tragedy. You know, I
Yeah,
mean, So,
Just
I mean, I even, that's why this kind of devastation is even going to probably, as stated with the article that we're talking about, aren't going to make those numbers look any better than they currently look.
yeah, just bad news, man. So thoughts and prayers out for the people of California who are dealing
Yes.
with this, also the surrounding areas as well.
Yes.
Hopefully this, everything gets taken care of and everybody is safe.
It's just
Uh,
crazy when I mean, real quick, one last thing is like a lot of musicians I follow, the guitarist from Primus lost his house. The amount of instruments that you have, or the things that you have. I mean, they are just things. Luckily, some people unfortunately lost their life, but it's just crazy, man. Crazy. So please donate. Hope
yeah,
everyone's all right.
yeah, donate. Not it's not mostly for the millionaires, but for the people who've,
Yeah.
the regular people who out there who lost their homes. But just hope everybody's safe and whatnot. But moving on to our last story, my man. We just did a deep dive on one of these films, but you know, you know how I complain that Hollywood loves to remake films, that they can't come up with original ideas, but it seems like they might be doing 2 sequels to 2 iconic, I wouldn't say franchise. One's an iconic franchise, the other one is an iconic film of the '80s. It came out recently that they are making a sequel to Gremlins and a sequel to Goonies, The
Ooh.
Goonies. Joe Dante Dean at the show might he says that they might have a Gremlins 3. There is a prequel series that aired on Max in 2023, and he said that the show might lead as to a Gremlins 3, but he said that show could be Gremlins 3, but they're saying it's inevitable that the Gremlins 3 will come to the theaters. As far as Goonies 2, there were rumors back in the day. I remember as far back as when the movie was released, they were coming out, they're saying, "Oh, we're going to do a sequel to the film when the kids are a little older." Um, it even came out within the past 5 years, they're gonna try to bring back the original cast, which is kind of gonna be hard because Chunk Jeff Cohen isn't an actor anymore. He's actually an attorney, but everybody else would come back to do the film. Uh, Sloth, of course, had passed away, so they would have to replace him and Mama Fratelli. But you still got Joey Pants, he can come back in there. But that never fell into fruition. Now they're talking about doing it again, which how are they gonna do it? I don't know. Sean Astin has said in 2017 it's possible. Corey
Mhm.
Feldman, of course, said he would take the call. I mean, he's not doing anything, so
All
why would
these guys would take the call besides Brolin. I mean, everyone's taking the call to do this. I mean, they're not got nothing else going on. And to be fair, without some of those other names that you mentioned that are no longer around, um, definitely, uh, go now. Gremlins with technology and good directors, you could really have. I've always said from the very beginning that out of all the movies that have ever been remade, I am shocked that this one never has been touched. Because to be truth, there, it's all right there. I mean, I'm not I don't think that the what was the first Ghostbusters one with Paul Rudd?
Ghostbusters, I don't know, Death or something like
Afterlife or something, whatever.
that? Yeah. God,
Um,
it's horrible.
those little mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Men that were running around. I mean, there was some cool, like not great, but you can really do some good stuff with these Gremlins. I mean, you really could, but are they? I don't know.
It's I consider myself, I know a lot about films, and my short-term memory is so bad. Like, Ghostbusters Death, I just pulled my, Jen, my wife, who's horrible at film names, happy anniversary, by the way, to her. Tomorrow's our
Oh
anniversary.
yes, I wanted to say happy anniversary to you both. Wow.
Thank you, thank you. Even though she posted the wrong date today because she was groggy. It's actually tomorrow, 17th. But, I guess she's rubbing off on me because our short-term memory is shit. But yeah, I totally agree. Gremlins, if Joe Dante is involved in the new Gremlins film, I'm totally down with that. The Goonies, I think that ship has sailed.
Mhm.
Uh, and where do you really go? I thought the Goonies ended great the way it did. I mean, where do you really kinda progress from there?
Well, it would
What
be like say we're gonna do a new Stand By Me. No River Phoenix, but we're gonna got Will Wheaton. We'll bring back Kiefer. no Jerry O'Connell because he just isn't going to be Vern anymore. So we're gonna have to get someone else to replace him. And it's like, you know why we doing this? Because we know people like Stand By Me, and they'll like, I don't know. It's kind of like
The
that
cool thing
Christmas
is,
Story, that one that they put on HBO a couple years ago. Did
mm,
you ever watch that one?
the new one is actually really good though, but it was written by the guy who played Rob.
I mean, yes, but is it like I really think The Thing is really good. The one that they had with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Joel Eggert. I think that's a really good movie. But now, do I think it's a really good movie? Now, the original is nowhere near as good as that's way lot better. So like that's kind of what I mean. Like the original
Oh yeah.
Christmas Story is a whole lot better than that movie, and that movie's a good movie. It's a good interpretation. That's kind of what I mean.
Well, there is a sequel to Christmas Story. I think it's like
Yeah, there is. You're right. It's like,
and then there's the Summer Story, which is by the same guy who did Bob Clark did the Summer Story with Gordon. I forget his first. Charles Gordon.
mhm.
He was in that. My Summer Story, it's called. But the sequel to the Christmas Story was horrible.
It
That
was,
one, the version that came out recently with
it wasn't
Peter
bad.
Billingsley,
No.
I think it was. I thought it was very well in terms of the way he presented the story. With it was basically on him remembering his dad.
Well, and Darren McGavin's amazing. So
Yeah,
like that's
yeah,
exactly why the movie was
pretty well.
better than it should have been, I guess I should say.
Yeah, but I am totally down for a new Gremlins. Like I said, I'm usually against remakes, but like you said, with the technology, and if you bring back Phoebe Cates, I'm down for that as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And if you bring back Phoebe Cates and I forget what Zach's name. I know his name's Zach.
You know who you won't be bringing back as sadly as Phoebe Cates' dad in the original.
But you can get his from what was
Action
the
figure.
place? Yeah, what's the name of that company, Tone? Something things.
What is it again?
Dreadful Things makes an
Yeah,
action figure
yeah.
of Phoebe Cates' dad from the Gremlins film, the Santa with a broken neck. I'm dead serious. Look it up on YouTube, not YouTube, on Google that. But if Zach Galligan comes back and he's not stealing CDs from coconuts, I'm down. I'm, I'm
He's
down
gonna
for
be in the new Waxwork.
it. Oh God, Waxwork. It's another film that'll probably be on the 31 Days of Horror for 2025. Waxwork. I've had
It'll be a
that
good
one.
one.
But Tone, that is all the stories I have on my end. Is there anything else you want to discuss before we wrap
Oh,
this?
real quick before we leave, okay? I brought it up before on the last show. So, Michael Imperioli talking about possibly he's got an idea to like a Sopranos continuation. What do you think? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
With Tony?
No, like imagine a world where, well, I guess Christopher is alive still, and it's like Christopher's point of view or something, all just from the life of Christopher, but with Michael Imperioli now.
I I don't know how you would do it. I
Or
mean,
it's or it's over with. It's done.
he was killed. Michael Imperial. Now,
But to be fair, Showtime had the show on, which I watch. I've watched it all. Dexter.
mm,
He was killed. Well, he's
yeah,
back this summer. So
yeah,
like the problem is like they have done these things now forever that they could write in little cheesy
yeah.
things
But
and
the
be
difference
like,
with Dexter though is he went into a storm, so you didn't really see him die. And this one,
yeah.
Tony Soprano fucking strangled him, and we saw his funeral.
No, they did that they did he went in the storm in the original show, but then 2 years ago they did like a Dexter return
Mhm.
and he died at the end of that. But now, because this is
Oh
Showtime's
god.
big flagpole series, currently on Showtime, it's Dexter when he first starts, which I'm watching now, which is actually really good. But because Michael C. Hall, like we mentioned before, Chris Evans and these other guys, told everyone he was going to do other things and it never really materialized. I feel like this is kind of why he's coming back to the character. But there is material there if you write a good script that it could be good. So that's what's curious. Like if you think about Sopranos as a whole, the writing is really, really good. What did you
I
think of the
think it's
movie
good.
really quick? The Saints of New York.
Many Saints.
Yeah.
So I didn't hate it as much as other people hated it. The reason I didn't hate it was people I think put too much emphasis
Mhm.
on this is the backstory to Tony Soprano. It was never really about Tony Soprano. It was always about Dickie.
Mhm.
He Tony Tony Soprano played a small role in the film. I enjoyed that aspect of to see how Dick he was, what kind of person Dick he was, and I love the twist at the end with the Uncle Junior stuff. I really like that. This with Chris, I think it won't work out because Christopher is young when he joins Tony, unless we're gonna show him as a kid, and if he's dead, is Michael gonna do voiceover? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, if they
Yeah.
did something with James Gandolfini's son, Michael, and had him do a Tony, how Tony progressed after the death of Dickie, I would totally be down for that. But I would want that in a series form. I don't want a movie because I think cramming so much into 2 hours or 3 hours, just too much. Let it breathe in a series. Let it, and then you could have maybe have Christopher, not Christopher, Michael Imperioli come back as another character just for that, as
Okay,
another
sure.
character. But like I don't ever crap on Michael Imperioli himself because he is a he's his movie knowledge is exponential. His love for film is great. I think he's has great ideas, but this one I don't think just is going to be accepted by some hardcore Soprano fans. Like if they dropped it, I would watch it. I'm not gonna lie, but I wouldn't think it would be good.
Well, we'll have to wait and see on all these stories and see how they all turn out.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent conversation tonight. Yep.
Yes,
Today.
sir. Yes, sir. So this is our first episode of the At the Mini Show. If you guys like it, let us know. Give us some feedback. We're looking for that. We're gonna try to do this at least every other couple weeks when big news drops. So this is giving a little bonus show to go along with the At the Show podcast, which will be dropping on Friday, the 17th of January, and we'll be going into what, Tone?
We will be doing some of my honestly, I was looking through our list. They're like 9 out of 10 movies are some of my favorites. Movies with a twist. A twist. If
Yes,
you're a fan
sir.
of Robot Chicken.
Yes, sir. Movies with a twist. So be sure to check that out live on YouTube at 8:30 tomorrow on the 17th. If not, well, if you're listening to this on Friday tonight, if not, check it back when it drops on the episode for all the Spotify and all that other good stuff. But you can watch us live. This video will be posted to YouTube for this show at the mini show, and it'll be posted on our audio versions as well. So, Tone, with that, we are going to say good night, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their night. Take it easy.
Take care.